In one of Elias Canetyi's stories, I think it's called something like The Tongues of the Free. It's a story about his childhood, growing up in Bulgaria, I think it is. And he tells this story in this novel about when he was very small, his father would always read the newspaper every day, and he would have this ritual where he'd very carefully unfold the newspaper and treat it with a real reverence. And the little lad didn't really know what the significance of this action was. He thought it was the smell of the newspaper, he said. He could smell the newsprint himself, so he thought that must be the thing that his father was getting out of it, the smell of this newsprint. And of course one day his father gets him onto his knee and points out thousands and thousands of little scratchings that are on the page and tells him, what words are, what language is, and how one day he'll be able to look at these scratchings and understand what they mean and how significant they are and why they should be treated with respect and possibly even reverence. But the time is not yet, he's too small to read, and the young lad is just awestruck by the possibility of this and can't wait for the moment when he's able to read. And he has an older sister, this lad, and his older sister is learning to read, or has learned to read, or something like that, and she has these notebooks in which she practices the alphabet. I remember having notebooks like that when I was a kid myself, just practicing the letter N over and over again. But she has these notebooks, and again the young Elias wants very much to get have his sister teach him what these notebooks mean, and what these marks on the page mean. And she does occasionally show him these pages, but he's not allowed to touch them. He can point at the words, but he can't touch the words. Again, there's a real sense of reverence there. And she teases him pretty mercilessly about this. She keeps saying she's going to let him play with the notebooks, or going to teach him to read, or something like that, and never does. And on one particular occasion that he recounts in the story, his sister, Lauren, is again showing him the notebook and waving it in front of his face, sort of half showing him the letters, and taking the notebook away. And he chases her all around the house, and he chases her into the garden, and she's always out of reach, holding his book out of his grasping hand. And at a certain point he just loses it completely, and he walks away from her, goes round to the back of the house, to the woodshed, comes back to the front of the house where his sister is, with a huge axe in his hand, saying, "I am going to kill Lauren, I'm going to kill Lauren." I've got a sister, but I don't think she ever teased me like that. In fact, the strongest memory I have of my sister is walking to school. She used to walk me to school, and she was a little bit older than I was, and always held me by the hand. And on the way to school, there was one of those traffic signs, a triangular traffic sign, a warning sign for cars. And on the traffic sign was a picture of two children. It was like a beware children crossing kind of sign. And it's a silhouette of a girl of about 9, I suppose, and a little boy next to her, holding her hand, of about 5. And every time I look at that picture still, I always think that's me and my sister. A little old lad's me, and that's my sister Susan.